Some major silly season news, a fuel mileage shocker, the playoffs now officially underway, and the sport loses a legend. All today on The Fifth Turn. All right, everybody, welcome into The Fifth Turn. My name is CJ Ward, so great to have you here. As always, remember you can follow the show on Twitter at Fifth Turn, also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Fifth Turn. Also, if you want to get in touch with me via email, you can send an email to thefifthturn@gmail.com, and I will be sure to get back to you. And always leave a like and a comment and hit subscribe if you haven't already. I really do want to hear from everybody who's watching my videos. I appreciate all of the subscribes and likes and comments that you guys leave from time to time. So please keep in touch. I would love to hear from you guys. Want to start? We got a lot to get to this week and not a lot of time to do it. So I'm probably gonna go pretty quickly through everything that we got today. But we do have a lot of news to get to. Unfortunately, starting on a very somber note. During the race Sunday night, the announcement was made that the sport has lost a legend. Mike Stefanik, who was 61, died in a plane crash Sunday. He was a legend in the lower series of NASCAR. 74 wins and 7 championships in the Whelen Modified Series. 12 wins and 2 championships in what is now the K&N East Series. A Hall of Fame nominee. The guy was just an absolute legend of the sport. A name that you probably don't hear too often because he's more associated with the lower series, but a legend, absolutely. And so just want to have a moment of silence for him in commemoration of his life and career. All right. Other news that we had this past week, major silly season news that I don't think anybody saw coming. Paul Menard, who currently drives the 21 for the Wood Brothers, one of the most famous cars in the garage, announced this past week that he is going to be retiring at the end of the year. He's had a pretty decent career. Won the Brickyard 400 in 2011, beat Jeff Gordon to do it. Several Xfinity Series wins. Pretty decent career. But he's been around a while, and he's deciding, much in the same way as David Reagan did, that he wants to hang up the helmet and spend more time at home with his family. And so that was shocking enough. But then the announcement came that his replacement next season, moving to the famous 21 for the Wood Brothers, is Matt DiBenedetto. The conclusion to this feel-good story, the man has had such a roller coaster career, having to fight for every opportunity that he's ever had and improving the performance of whatever team he drives for, but he has never seemed to get that opportunity. Had a great one this year with Levine Family Racing and with the Joe Gibbs affiliation, but he's been running phenomenally lately, top 10s, top 5s, almost a win at Bristol a couple of weeks ago. And so he's been running really, really well. But obviously that Bristol week, we learned that he would not be returning to the 95 for Levine Family Racing. Most likely Christopher Bell will take over that car next year. But once again, it left Matt DiBenedetto a free agent looking for a ride, betting on himself once again. And the way the story goes is when Paul Menard approached the Wood Brothers and Team Penske and said, "Hey, I'm gonna retire." They asked him, "Do you have anybody that you want in this car?" And Paul Menard just said, "Get Matt DiBenedetto." Apparently, they're pretty good friends, and that is really, really cool that Paul Menard put enough faith in Matt DiBenedetto to suggest him for the car. So. That 21 car is going to be really, really fun to watch next year. Obviously, with that close alliance with Team Penske. That 21 car, Matt DiBenedetto's, this is the best car he's ever had in the Cup Series. So expect really, really good things out of Matt DiBenedetto. I don't think that Wood Brothers ride is going to be a championship contender, but he will be a contender. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if he snuck a few wins in that 21 car. Possibly, if Paul Menard cannot this year, maybe next year Matt DiBenedetto can snag win number 100 for the Wood Brothers. How incredible would that be? And then also in the other two series, the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, remember last week I talked about just how with the playoffs, so many different things happening in the three series. This triple header weekend at Vegas this weekend, we had the first cutoff race for the Truck Series, the first playoff race, the playoff opener for the Cup Series, and the regular season finale for the Xfinity Series. So with that, all playoff fields have now been set. The Trucks have eliminated two guys. The round of six is underway, and the Xfinity Series has set their 12-driver field, and we will get into all of that in just a few minutes. But let's go ahead and get into all of the racing action from this weekend, starting with the Truck Series. Started off with a bang. Literally, Jesse Iwuji driving the 34 for Rayone Brothers Racing. Vicious crash in qualifying. That 34 truck spun off turn 4 and hit pit wall unbelievably hard. Truck jumped up in the air. Officials were literally running, trying to get away from pit wall where that truck was going to impact. Vicious hit. Glad to see that he was okay. But that knocked... They did not have a backup 34 truck, and local driver Justin Johnson, who was driving his number 08, missed the race on qualifying speed. But to keep him in the race, Rayone Brothers and Justin Johnson teamed up. They renumbered that 08 to the 34 to get Johnson into the race, which was very, very cool to see teams working together like that. But yes, as I mentioned, it was the first cut race for the Truck Series playoffs. We were going to eliminate the bottom two guys in points and move from 8 drivers to 6. And the ones that were eliminated came as a major shock. This race was on Friday the 13th, and I was joking with some of my friends. I said, this race almost made me superstitious. It was wild. But starting in qualifying, Christian Eckes sat on the pole for the third time in only 6 races this year. Ross Chastain qualified second. That 45 team has really stepped up their performance as far as qualifying this year. And Chastain absolutely dominated this race. John Hunter Nemechek was back in the race, was supposed to be at least, driving the 8 for Nemco. That truck had a problem before the race even started, and he didn't even get to make a single lap. The truck wouldn't fire, which was a real shame, because when he gets behind the wheel of one of those trucks, he is he is a contender for the win every single time. So that was a shame there. Again, just so much bad luck for John Hunter this year across trucks and Xfinity. Glad he was able to make the playoffs in the Xfinity Series. And at least have some good things happening. But so the opportunity with so many good drivers that missed the playoffs this year, Ben Rhodes and the KBM drivers and things like that, you were going to have to watch for the potential of a playoff spoiler. Spoiler alert, no pun intended, that did not happen. But Ross Chastain got to the lead early around Christian Eckes, and he stayed there. And then we had an event that took place that made a lot of people really start, excuse me, my goodness, really start ranting at the current playoff format. Because regular season champion Grant Enfinger blew an engine early in this race and was eliminated. Now, granted, he has not won all year, but you would like to think that somebody who has been good enough all year to be the regular season champion, you would like to think that there's not a possibility for him to get eliminated in the first round. Granted, it's exciting and it adds some drama to the sport, but not what you wanted to see. So that was some drama right off the bat. Restarts were insane across all 3 series. Austin Hill in the 16 got out to the lead, and then Ross Chastain got back by him. It turns out he was just getting some debris off the nose. Really close racing all day. Love the Truck Series. Love it, love it, love it. Shout out to Anthony Morakovich driving the 87 for Nemco. That truck was up in the top 15 all night long, which is not something that you can... that is usually a start and park truck, and he was running top 15 with it. Great run for that team. Stuart Friesen, another playoff contender, was down a cylinder and was having some engine troubles. He managed to survive the race and advance in the playoffs, but drama there. Ross Chastain ran away with stage 1, then had a couple of slow pit stops that put him behind the 8 ball, but made an incredible move on the restart to take the lead back. 5 wide racing at certain points on these restarts. And then one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in a race, ThorSport Racing teammates, Matt Crafton in the 88 and Johnny Sauter in the 13, both playoff contenders, both at the same second on the same turn of the same lap, both of them blew engines and caught on fire. Only Friday the 13th. Seriously, only Friday the 13th. It was insane, one of the most bizarre things I'd ever seen. ThorSport was not having a good day because all 3 of their playoff contenders, Grant Enfinger, Johnny Sauter, and Matt Crafton, all 3 of them had engine issues. Their 4th guy, Ben Rhodes, who is not in the playoffs, he had a great night, but he's not in the playoffs. So craziness there. It turns out they possibly ran over something. Excuse me. But with all of their troubles, even though we still had a lot of racing to go, Ross Chastain clinched a spot in the round of 6 on points. We had an epic lead battle between Chastain, Austin Hill, Brett Moffitt, Brennan Poole, another great run in that 30 truck. He was into the picture, along with Ben Rhodes. Again, with all of ThorSport's issues, it was going to be a battle to see who was going to advance in the playoffs. But it put Tyler Ankrum, who I don't think anybody had him advancing, it put him above the cut line and in the clear, pretty much. Chastain wins stage 2, again in dominating fashion, but again a slow pit stop put him behind the 8 ball again. Early in stage 3, Johnny Sauter had gotten back out on track, but blew up again, and he ended up being eliminated. Just what a wacky race. Again, only Friday the 13th. Epic racing all night. Stuart Friesen, again, low on cylinders, still going to advance with the troubles of Johnny Sauter and Grant Enfinger. Those were the 2 that ended up being eliminated. Or so we thought, because Tyler Ankrum looked like he was going to have some kind of an engine issue. He managed to hold on. Tyler Dipple, in his first race back from suspension, he blew an engine. A lot of engine issues, which was, you don't usually see that many in one race. But Austin Hill, he had, the way that pit stops worked, something had happened to him that put him in a position when everybody else came and pitted for just fuel. He put tires on, and nobody had anything for those new tires on the 16, and he flew through the field, flew by leader Ross Chastain. Ross just had nothing for him. And Austin Hill ends up taking the win, 3rd of his career, all 3 this season in this Hattori Racing Enterprises 16. So let me go ahead and run through the finishing order of the Truck Series race. Austin Hill takes the win, Ross Chastain 2nd, 3rd is Christian Eckes, 4th is Sheldon Creed, 5th is Todd Gilliland, 6th Brennan Poole, solid top 10 for him, 7th is Brett Moffitt, 8th Ben Rhodes, 9th Harrison Burton, 10th Dylan Lupton, 11th Tyler Ankrum, 12th Anthony Alfredo, 13th, finishing 13th, is Anthony Morakovich in the Nemco 87. Again, usually a start and park truck, and he runs 13th with it. Unbelievable. Jordan Anderson, 14th. 15th is Gus Dean. Cody Rohrbaugh is 16th. 17th, Austin Wayne Self. 18th, Spencer Davis. 19th, Stuart Friesen. 20th, Spencer Boyd. 21st, Colin Garrett in the 3rd Nice truck, the 38. In the 2nd Nice truck, Angela Ruck in the 44 finishes 22nd. 23rd is Justin Johnson. 24th, Jennifer Jo Cobb. 25th, Natalie Decker. 26th, Tyler Dipple. 27th, Derek Kraus making another start with Bill McAnally. 28th, Mason Massey. 29th, Johnny Sauter. 30th, Matt Crafton. 31st, Grant Enfinger. And 32nd, without making a lap on the track, is John Hunter Nemechek. So the two drivers eliminated were Johnny Sauter and Grant Enfinger, which means now going into the round of 6, here are your Truck Series standings. Brett Moffitt, Austin Hill, Ross Chastain, Stuart Friesen, Matt Crafton, and Tyler Ankrum. Those are the 6 drivers moving on in the Truck Series playoffs. So crazy race, crazy action, only Friday the 13th. That's all I got to say about that. Moving on to the Xfinity Series, another crazy, epic race with a lot of drama, a lot of action to talk about. This was the regular season finale in the Xfinity Series, so we were going to set the 12 drivers that would make the playoffs. And for the most part, the 12 were already set. As long as we didn't have an upset winner, a guy like a Jeremy Clements or a Gray Galding or guys like that were over 100 points behind the playoff guys, but if one of them were to play a little strategy and sneak up and get a win, that would upset the apple carts. Spoiler alert, that did not happen, and the same 12 guys as we thought were going to advance did, but we will get to that in a few minutes. One of the big stories heading into the day was this was going to be the official final ride for Elliott Sadler. What a career he's had in all 3 series of NASCAR. Really a good race car driver. He's been in the sport a long time, and he's officially retiring. He retired at the end of last year when he was driving for Junior Motorsports, but returned this season to drive a couple of races for Colleague Racing in that number 10 car. And he's officially retiring to spend more time with his family and coach his kids in baseball. And this was his official last ride. Colleague Racing and Nutrient Ag Solutions even put his rookie late model paint scheme on the car. Chris Rice, the crew chief at Colleague, was Elliott Sadler's crew chief in those days. So all around, very cool day for Elliott Sadler. But Cole Custer won the pole, and he had won the last 2 mile-and-a-halves, so he was going to look dangerous. Christopher Bell got out to the lead early. John Hunter Nemechek made a crazy move around the 98 of Chase Briscoe, the 19 of Brandon Jones, and the 1 of Michael Annett in one corner, past all 3 of them. It was hot, and it was slick. It was about 120 degrees inside the cars. The field spread out pretty quickly. That seemed to be the story of the Xfinity and Cup Series. Close, tight, epic racing on restarts, and then the field would spread out a little bit. Runaway Stage 1 victory for Christopher Bell. Brandon Jones made a great save where the car was basically sideways sliding down the apron, and he saved it. Don't know how, but he did. Justin Allgaier in the 7 was phenomenal on new tires and could really put up a fight, but Christopher Bell was still the class of the field. With his performance throughout the race, Tyler Reddick ended up clinching the regular season championship. And at that point had absolutely nothing to lose to go for the win. Another runaway stage win for Christopher Bell got him the green and white checkered flag in stage 2, and it was really going to be a challenge to beat him. Justin Allgaier got out to the lead on a late restart, beat the 20 by a little bit, got out to the restart after a spin for the 61 of Tommy Joe Martins. Then we had another late caution for the 93 of my namesake, CJ McLaughlin. Then the 98 of Chase Briscoe took over second place and was having a phenomenal run trying to chase down the leader. My other driver, John Hunter Nemechek, great run all day for him. And then the 98 got busted for speeding on pit road during the green flag pit cycle, put him behind the 8 ball. And this was where the drama really started, because while everyone else pitted, the fuel window was about 60 laps. And everybody started making green flag pit stops about 60 to go. And while everybody else was stopping, Tyler Reddick did not. And he stayed out, inherited the lead, and was trying to stretch the fuel an extra 15 miles to 70 laps It was daring, but like I said, he had nothing to lose. He had already won the regular season championship, the lead was so big, and Bell was not gaining on him at quite a quick enough pace that if Reddick had the fuel, I didn't think Bell had the time, and turns out I was right. Tyler Reddick did it. He held on. He stretched that fuel to 70 laps. That is an extra 15 miles that he got out of that fuel tank. When it all started, he had about a 20-second lead, and when they crossed the line, Bell was about 7/10 behind him. So it was close, but Tyler Reddick pulled off one of the most incredible fuel mileage gambles that I've seen in a long, long time. That was cool. That was very, very cool. And he received some very high praise after the race from team owner Richard Childress, who said that he reminded him of Cale Yarborough, one of the legends of this sport. So very high praise there. But we set that officially set the playoffs. The same 12 guys as we thought got in, and I'll run through those in just a second. But Ryan Sieg in the 39 turned out that he got disqualified at the end of the race. It did not affect his playoff standings. He still made the round of 12, but he was officially disqualified for a ride height violation at the end of the race. Let me go ahead and run through the finishing order of this Xfinity race. Tyler Reddick gets the win. Christopher Bell second. Brandon Jones third. Cole Custer fourth. Justin Allgaier fifth. Sixth is Noah Gragson. Seventh is Greg Galding. Eighth is John Hunter Nemechek. Ninth is Riley Herbst. Elliott Sadler 10th in his final race. 11th is Chase Briscoe. 12th, Austin Cindric. 13th, Michael Annett. 14th, Ryan Truex. 15th, Justin Haley. 16th, Brandon Brown on his birthday, no less. 17th, Alex LeBay. 18th, Josh Williams. 19th, Ray Black Jr. 20th, Jeremy Clements. 21st, Stephen Light. 22nd, BJ McLeod. 23rd, Garrett Smithley. 24th, Matt Mills. 25th, Tommy Joe Martins. 26th, David Starr. 27th, J.A. Jr. Avila. 28th, Tyler Matthews. 29th, Joey Gase. 30th, Vinnie Miller. 31st, C.J. McLaughlin. 32nd, Kyle Weatherman. 33rd, Joe Nemechek. 34th, Chad Fincham. 35th, Stan Mullis. 36th, Landon Castle. 37th, J.J. Yaley, and 38th, after the DQ, is Ryan Sieg. So yes, after this race, we officially set those 12 drivers that would make the Xfinity Series playoffs, and here they are. Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, Justin Allgaier, Michael Annett, Noah Gragson, Brandon Jones, Justin Haley, Ryan Sieg, and John Hunter Nemechek. Those are the 12 drivers that will be a part of the 2019 Xfinity Series playoffs. And then finally, moving on to the Monster Energy Cup Series. What a race that was. Playoff opener. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the qualifying speeds. Because if you were watching qualifying, William Byron went out there and I think laid down a 30-50, somewhere around there. And all of the broadcasters were saying it's a little slower than what we expected, but that should still be a pretty good lap. Turned out he ended up like 15th, somewhere around there, because he laid down a 30-50, and then Michael McDowell, of all people, just destroyed it, ran like a 30-40, and then Chase Elliott topped that, and then Kurt Busch came out of nowhere and ran like a 30-18. The speeds were just picking up unbelievably quickly. At the end of the day, it was a Stuart Haas 1-2-3-4 in qualifying, with Clint Boyer's first pole since 2007 and only his third of his career. So what a story there. What a start to the race. I love mile-and-a-half racing this year. The start was epic. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 went from like 12th to the top 3 in just a couple of laps. Didn't know where he came from, but that was incredible. Kyle Busch into the wall very early. Bounced off the wall, put him behind the 8-ball, but he rebounded and then got into more trouble, but we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. The 48, Jimmy Johnson, was looking sporty early. Daniel Suarez took off to an early lead, and he was gone, but the real story of the race was Joey Logano in the 22. My goodness, that car was fast. It took him less than 45 laps to go from 22nd starting position to the lead. That car was flying. And then green flag pit stops went on, and the battle was between the 22 of Joey Logano and the 10 of Eric Almirola. And I don't know what happened this weekend, but that 10 car showed up. Like, remember last year, he made it all the way to the round of 8 and finished 5th in the final standings. And this year, that 10 car has just been almost non-existent. Really hasn't made a whole lot of noise this year, and he showed up this weekend. That 10 car was fast early on in this race. But Joey Logano dominates and wins stage 1, and then early in stage 2, the 24 of William Byron out of nowhere, fighting for the lead. My roommate probably hated me because I was almost screaming. I was so excited. What a run that 24 car had. Playoff contender Eric Jones had to go to the garage during stage 2 with the transmission issue. During stage 2 and 3, the track was really changing, and you had some different guys up front. The Stewart-Haas guys were fading a little bit as the run went on. We had an epic lead battle between the 22 of Joey Logano and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Not the first time we've seen those two get into it. 19 looked like he was faster, but he just could not find a way around. And he ended up clearing the 22 with the help of lap traffic, and Martin Truex Jr. won Stage 2. And every year that we have had stage racing, the winner of Stage 2 went on to win the race. And as we'll see in a couple of minutes, that happened once again. Brad Keselowski ended up on pit road with the hood up because he was having some kind of an issue, but an unbelievable rebound for him. If I'm not mistaken, he ended up with a top 3 finish after at one point having the hood up on pit road. So unbelievable rebound for him. Chase Elliott got out to the lead. The Hendrick cars were really coming to life late in this race. Ryan Blaney in the 12 got a little loose off the corner and door slammed the 24 of William Byron, which cut a tire down. Williams spun but did not hit anything and rebounded for a top 10 finish. Crazy race. The one of Kurt Busch blew a tire and slammed the wall. Contact with the 41 and 22 left some other cars with damage. Again, crazy restarts. On one of those crazy restarts, the 21 of Paul Menard, something happened and he just rammed the 14 of Clint Boyer unbelievably hard. And 14 got a tire rub and had to come to pit road. Again, major rebound for the 2 and the 18. The 2 was back up in the top 10. The 18 of Kyle Busch just had well-timed cautions that got him his laps back and put him right back in contention. And that 18 car, even with all the damage, was fast. Pit strategy was varying. There were a lot of comers and goers over the course of the race. Turned out the battle for the win was going to be between the 4 of Kevin Harvick and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. And just with the help of lap traffic once again and various circumstances, the 19 ran him down and passed Kevin Harvick, and the 19 got clear to the lead. In the closing laps, Kyle Busch, something happened, and he just slammed into the back of the 52 of Garrett Smithley very hard and just dropped like a rock with all of that damage. It was all he could do to hold on. And at the end of the day, Martin Truex Jr. wins in his very first playoff race with Joe Gibbs Racing. What a race! What a race! And with all of the comers and goers and bad finishes and bad luck throughout the race, the 4 drivers that are currently on the outside looking in to miss the next round of the playoffs are Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, pole sitter Clint Boyer, and Eric Jones. Good cars. A couple of those guys that are looking on the outside looking in, really looking to have some good days over the next couple of weeks. Let me go ahead and run through the finishing order. Martin Truex Jr. takes the win. Kevin Harvick 2nd, Brad Keselowski 3rd, Chase Elliott 4th, 5th is Ryan Blaney, 6th is Alex Bowman. Quiet but phenomenal day for him. William Byron all the way back to 7th after those issues. 8th is Kyle Larson, 9th is Joey Logano, Ryan Newman 10th, Jimmy Johnson 11th, Austin Dillon 12th, Eric Almirola 13th, 14th is Paul Menard, 15th Denny Hamlin, 16th Ty Dillon, 17th Daniel Hemrick, 18th Chris Buescher, 19th is where Kyle Busch ends up, 20th Daniel Suarez, 21st Matt DiBenedetto, 22nd David Reagan, 23rd Bubba Wallace, 24th Michael McDowell, 25th Clint Boyer, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 26th, 27th, Ryan Preece. 28th, Corey LaJoie. 29th, Landon Castle. 30th is Matt Tifft. 31st is Ross Chastain. 32nd, J.J. Yaley. 33rd, B.J. McLeod. 34th, Joe Nemechek. 35th, Garrett Smithley. Eric Jones, 36th. Reed Sorensen, 37th. Joey Gase, 38th. And Kurt Busch finishes 39th. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun to keep an eye on these on the playoff battle. The sleeper of these playoffs is really shaping up to possibly be the 24 of William Byron. After finishing, I think, 21st in points last year, he is now sitting 9th in this points battle. In great position to move on if he has a solid next couple of weeks. Obviously, it helps having Chad Knaus as your crew chief, but he is looking really, really solid. And top 10 speed at 1.5 miles certainly helps quite a lot. So, going to be fun to keep an eye on this battle and see who advances and who does not. So. Yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the NASCAR racing this year in general, but also hope you guys are enjoying my videos and my recaps of what's going on in the sport. Again, please leave a like and a comment and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at Fifth Turn, also Facebook, facebook.com/thefifthturn, and send an email to thefifthturn@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with me that way. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep an eye out next week. Where are we racing next week? Richmond. There is a chance, and I can neither confirm nor deny this, but I may end up being able to go to the Cup race this weekend. Haven't gotten confirmation on that yet. We shall see. But if I do, I will be sure to, much like I did with Daytona, although I won't have quite that much access, I will probably do 2 videos next week, one being a recap and a sort of a vlog of my experience at Richmond. So keep an eye out for that, but if I end up not going, I'll just do my regular videos. So keep an eye out for that. Looking forward to Richmond this weekend. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week. Take care.